welcome back. Welcome to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Sorry, I had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we are here, we are ready, and guess what, guys? It's Friday. It's the end of the week. Hope you guys are super excited for your weekend. I know I am, although I only have a Sunday off. I work, Saturday, which is kind of sad, but ultimately, it's cool. Get to come home, hang out with the kids, maybe play a couple board games. I don't know why, but they're really obsessed with this game called like Sorry. I don't know if any of you guys played Sorry. And usually we try to play Uno as well, but Uno gets a little dicey. And if you have kids and stuff like that who are very, very competitive, it gets it can get dark real quick. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have our WWE Smackdown preview. We also have our Thursday Night Wrestling review. We have WWE my top 10 finishers that I think are totally badass and that are like untouchable. When some people performs the move other than a person who kind of made it monumental, it kind of looks a little weird. So we're going to talk about that. Our fourth segment, we're going to dive into how, the downfall of TNA, how exactly did they kind of wind up, because they were doing really well in the early 2000s. They were doing really, really well. Obviously, you had the departure of a lot of superstars like Sting, Kurt Angle, and you had other, people trying to, look up to like greater, like greener pasture and stuff like that. Like you can't really blame them for that. So we're gonna get into that. And fifth and finally, I always do this every Wednesday. I go through my wrestling news roundup where I give you some wrestling news that, like, hey, if you walk into a bar and if you run into a wrestling fan, you can be like, hey man, I remember hearing this from that weird guy on the wrestling podcast. So yeah. But just before we move on to that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net. Shoot me your question, give me your statements, give me your opinions, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. It really does help the show, guys. A little bit of peace, love, and positivity here at the GSMC Sports Network does the body good. So make sure you kind of, I urge you guys to, hit the donations link. Just tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you want to talk about. Obviously this show is a lot better with a little bit of fan interaction. Overall, this is our podcast. Once again, it really does help the show, and the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So yeah, all right, let's go ahead and get right into this. We have our WWE Smackdown preview, and I know that kind of started a little late here, so I promise I will not take too much of your guys' time here, although I do love to rabble on and on and on. Cody Rhodes is out there looking for a fight. Cody Rhodes was betrayed by AJ Styles. AJ Styles came out, he did the Mark Henry, the whole retirement speech, and I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty badass. I kind of liked how WWE did that, because at first you kind of had the fans building up from last week. You had AJ Styles talking to Nick Aldis. He was like, look, dude, I feel like I cannot start from the bottom again. So I think it's better if I just kind of hang up my boots. And because of the speculation, and because WWE kind of knew how to manipulate the wrestling news kind of market, because around you would see on Ringside News, you would see on PW Insider, Inside the Ropes, you would see articles talking about AJ Styles' contract ending up and where he's going to ultimately end up. And it was no surprise. It was no surprise. I knew he was going to stay within WWE. WWE, I felt like they could not let AJ Styles go. That would have been a huge mistake, especially with Tony Khan out there flirting with superstars like Ricochet, Chad Gable, Becky Lynch. So it was important for Paul Levesque to lock down a great superstar, a legend in the professional wrestling industry. He touched on New Japan Professional Wrestling. He was also on TNA Impact. AJ Styles is definitely one of the best Universal International Continental champions that has ever, touched surface within WWE soil. So, choosing to give him another title shot. The way the match is going to end, I'm not too sure. At this point, you've kind of had Cody Rhodes lose. No, not Cody Rhodes. You kind of had AJ Styles lose a bunch of times to the point where I'm like, you know what? It'd be it'd be surreal. It'd be surreal to see him hold up that WWE championship. But like I said before, this is wrestling. So, shocks, twists, and turns are expected. I can imagine like this is probably where, and I know that I'm probably, I'm not trying to speculate something crazy here, but I honestly feel like this is probably where Uncle Howdy makes this is where he makes his debut. He makes his debut. He ultimately cost Cody, no, not Cody. He ultimately cost AJ Styles a chance at the WWE Championship. And it just makes sense because I feel like if AJ Styles loses again against Cody Rhodes cleanly, it's just, I don't know, it just kind of demeans his character. There needs to be some kind of outside interference in this for the storyline to, kind of work here, kind of work. So I think, you have Uncle Howdy coming in. He needs to make a debut. He was talking about a prodigal son. It's just crazy how, like, if he would jump against the American Nightmare, the WWE champion, so soon in his, recent, stint with WWE. So it should be interesting to kind of see how that, unfolds. Next, we have Solo Sikoa officially anoints Tonga into the bloodline. This kind of has Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is his name written all over it. I feel like this is going to be interrupted. I feel like they're going to fight. I think it's going to maybe set up a tag team match, but there's been speculation that Randy Orton will fight Gunther in a rematch for the King of the Ring, rights to wear the crown and also challenge for the respected brand's top title. So I don't know. It should be crazy. It should be crazy. Solo Sikoa, um, I think has a lot to prove right now. He obviously really does. As of right now, I feel like he really doesn't have a leg to kind of stand on in terms of being the tribal chief. I think Solo Sikoa needs a lot of work. WWE needs to do something to kind of ultimately put him over. That's kind of why they're holding on Jacob Fatu because they do not want to outshine Solo Sikoa. And it's all fair because Solo he hasn't really been that impressive outside of the bloodline. So there's got to be something big that happens within these next couple of weeks before WWE SummerSlam. You can count on this to probably be one of the monumental moments in building up to the potential of the bloodline storyline. I've read speculations that Roman Reigns was anticipating on coming back in August, SummerSlam, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem well placed. If anything, it kind of seems forced. I feel like Roman Reigns returning in SummerSlam is a little bit too soon, but of course, that's my opinion. Um, if he comes back, it's great. It's great for the bloodline. It's great for WWE. But he's been a champion for so long. He's one of the longest reigning champions in WWE/WWF history. I just don't I don't understand why they would bring back Roman so quick. But like I said, that's totally my opinion, 110%. So yeah, let's kind of move on here. We have Jade Cargill goes one-on-one with Indy Hartwell, holding on to that exclusive kind of rivalry that Candice LeRae took out Bianca Belair's knee, costing Bianca Belair ultimately her chance at being the WWE Queen of the Ring. And now you have Indy Hartwell. Last week on WWE Smackdown, you kind of saw these girls get into like a little bit of a confrontation, which I think was great for Indy Hartwell because I feel like her booking with WWE after she left WWE NXT should be a lot better. So Indy Hartwell, I feel like is going to put on a pretty good match. I feel like it's going to be one of those matches where she's going to lose. She's going to lose, but she's also going to kind of prove her point that she is worthy on being on the WWE main roster. And she is worthy of fighting someone at the caliber of Jade Cargill. Obviously, Jade Cargill coming from AEW, she's the longest reigning TBS champion. So, she has I don't even think Jade is so clear off the spectrum here. I still feel like she has a little bit to prove. A lot of people they're kind of hung up on the aspect of her, coming into the WWE Women's Royal Rumble in 2024 and eliminating like Nia Jax and she eliminated somebody else that was like a big deal. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, no way, no way, that's crazy." But I don't know. I just feel like for Jade to work out correctively and the way that her and Bianca are acting as WWE World Women's Tag Team, they put on good matches. They put on good matches, and they also help the other competitors kind of get over within the crowd, within the wrestling, kind of bird's eye view. So I know I was a huge hater on this. I really honestly doubted Belair and Cargile's capabilities of being like a formidable tag team because they're just two dominant single superstars that should be fighting for number one contendership within their own respective main event singles division. But so far it's been good. So far it's been good. So like, I feel like WWE is doing decent with this. It's going to be interesting if Candice LeRae, interferes, or she could possibly drive a wedge between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, so to a point where they, once again, I'm kind of hoping on that once in the WWE, as the shows progress to WWE SummerSlam in August, we still have about 2 clear months where you could have this wedge. You could have this wedge. You can have this miscommunication, this envy. Your standard WWE storyline, like where Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair end up, kind of just getting in each other's way, kind of, trying to be better than one another when they're tag team champions, but I ultimately feel like it would be awesome to kind of see these two superstars kind of go at it. And if you let Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell have the World Tag Team titles, I just feel like it would be better for the women's division. And I know, you guys hear this, you guys kind of hear me saying this over and over again. And you're like, okay, Eric, you're acting like a broken record here once again. You apologized a couple of podcasts ago from, letting Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill know that, you guys don't belong in the women's division, and you guys are doing a good job. And then now you're saying, hey, like let's take the titles from them. And it's not, I don't know, it's not so like dichotomous as some people might think, but I would honestly love, in my opinion, I would love to see Bianca Belair finally go heel. I think she kind of flirted with being a heel about maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, of course, when he had Montez Ford joining Bobby Lashley of with the Street Profits as well, and he kind of had them come out a little cocky and stuff like that. It's not that they're a heel, but they're ultimately kind of out there to kind of get their own. They've been nice this whole entire time. They've been trying to follow the rules, but to kind of establish a title reign in WWE, sometimes you have to kind of bend the rules a little bit. So I don't know. It would be so shocking to see Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, kind of fight. I feel like Jade is a little more over with the crowd right now instead of Bianca Belair. That could possibly kind of hint at a, kind of like a stand or a stance that they could probably WWE creative can kind of feed off of, and be like, oh, Bianca's jealous of Jade, or Bianca, she's kind of disgruntled with how the WWE universe has accepted this AEW foreign star so quick. So there's an unlimited amount of ways that I feel like WWE can kind of go about this. But ultimately, I feel like it'd be awesome to kind of see these two girls fight each other because these two girls are absolutely physical specimens. A match between these two kind of reminds me of like, comparing it to the men's division, kind of reminds me of like a The Rock and a Triple H and stuff like that. You have these two heavyweights, these two super colliders going at it. It's going to make an explosion of entertainment within the wrestling world. You watch. It's going to be badass. Next, we see Apollo Crews battle Angel Garza. You saw Angel Garza, try to help his former friend Andrade join the El Legado del Fantasma, but Andrade didn't want any part of it. I love Apollo Crews. He put on a really good match against Andrade last night. He's been featured in the WWE Speed, division, which I'm kind of proud of him. I kind of like that. I've always liked Apollo Crews. I kind of thought it was dumb how he went Nigerian. Not that I'm hating on like that, but like or culture, sentiments or whatever. But he was like, and he was doing this fake accent. I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's fake or not, but like he was just. I feel like when WWE has kind of sense of failure, they do everything they can, and they throw like dimes and pennies at this idea that they want to make work so bad. But from the get-go, it's just a bad idea. Just a bad idea. So you can probably count on more, scrutiny within with El Legado del Fantasma. Angel Garza might move on to Andrade's side, who knows, to make a faction of their own. But hey, who knows? Next we have Johnny Gargano takes on Grayson Waller. Once again, this is going to be just the build up for a DIY and the 8 Town Down Under title match. at Clash at the Castle. I feel like it's going to be great. I feel like DIY is finally going to be a champion after waiting so many gosh darn years. It's been years. Johnny Gargano was called up from the NXT roster. Man, I want to say like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And he came with Aleister Black. He came with Keith Lee. He came with Andrade. He came with Lars Sullivan, and they didn't do crap about it. WWE division really dropped their creative, really dropped their ball in terms of the NXT division, moving up. So, I would love to see Johnny Gargano kind of get in the face and kind of, I would love to see DIY prosper. It was awesome because when DIY did not prosper, they decided to break them up. They had this feud, which was entertaining for the most part, but ultimately it was a pretty bad idea. So, hey guys, do not go anywhere. We're gonna move on into our Thursday night wrestling review. We're gonna dive into the world of Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez here of the GSMC Wrestling Podcast. So, our first segment, if you missed it, we talked about our WWE Smackdown preview. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. I upload different, separate segments. So make sure you catch into that. WWE Smackdown is airing live right now. It's already aired on the East Coast, but I have not watched a single shred of content in terms of TikTok, Facebook, Twitter /X or Instagram. So, we're kind of in this together, guys. We're in this together totally. So, yeah. But before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use that tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your questions. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you guys want to discuss in terms of wrestling, kind of fandom we have here. Obviously, I kind of have my segments lined up. But if you have something more you want to talk about, give me your questions. We will talk. I will address your name. There's no such thing, as a bad, chat or a bad question or anything like that. So make sure, don't be shy. Don't be shy to share your Wrestling Laureate Podcast, and we ultimately love viewers. We love, the feedback, different perspectives, especially in terms of sports. That's what kind of, feeds off of sports. That's what makes a sports show really, really do well, in my opinion, is kind of ultimately like having a topic that we say and address that can be debatable. That could be absolutely debatable. So I don't know. I feel like if it's the podcast and people just like you have a bunch of yes men and a bunch of I agree with you, you're doing so good. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, throw some flowers here and there. We don't dispute that. But ultimately, kind of love to hear like Eric, like what are you talking about? That's so dumb. That what are you talking about, bro? Don't use dumb. Dumb is such a harsh word. I'm just kidding. No, I can handle it. I can handle it. So, all right. Moving on to our Thursday night wrestling review. We're going to talk about the TNA Impact 20 years of Impact TV tonight on the show, featuring 2 title matches, of course, on the road to next month's against all odds. So, this week's show was aired on TNA Plus, also in addition to Access TV. So let's go ahead and dig right on into it. Hell yeah. So we had Jake Something. Jake Something defeated Khan, which was kind of amazing to me because Jake Something and Khan's a freak. Khan's a freak. He's a big strapping guy. Although he was manhandled by by the TNA Knockouts. See, like we had Jordan Grace, the TNA Knockouts champion, go over to WWE NXT. Now I want to be WWE NXT feature Jordan Grace. Like now her name is kind of synonymous with WWE. So don't blame me on that. Don't you dare. So he had the TNA Knockouts champion like slam Connor down with her mixed tag team match where she was teaming with PCO and it was her against Khan and Stephanie Launder. But ultimately, like I keep reiterating on this podcast, that Jake Something is going to be something. Jake Something is going to be something. That kind of sounds like a boomer voice. I don't know if any of you guys watch the fastest 3 minutes with Boomer. Love it on the Monday Night Football you know on the segment. Okay, moving on. Moving on. We'll talk about football more later. Just kidding. This is a wrestling podcast. If you want to talk football, you go see Kenneth or my man Manny on the Chip Shot Football Podcast. Yeah. So, like I said, Jake Something obviously really, really impressive. He's whenever he goes out to the ring, he's always 1,010% all business. And until the bell rings from the start of the match, he goes until the bell rings at the end of the match. So you got to really respect that from Jake Something there. Next, we see Eric Young. Eric Young. I remember when he was just this. When don't fire Eric Young. When he was on the TNA back when TNA was kind of a little more, prestige. But he went down to the well, not down, not down. He went to WWE NXT, and I forgot his. Oh man, I forgot his group. I forgot his faction. Man, I can't believe sorry, excuse me. I can't believe I forgot that faction. It's gonna bother me all night. I'm gonna have to Google it during the break, and I will let you guys know. Um, so Eric Young, probably one of the TNA, Impact wrestlers that he's been with. He's been wrestling with TNA Impact since he was 20 years old. 20 years later, obviously now he's 40. Um, the moment he went out there, the fans showed him the ultimate utmost respect, chanting TNA, TNA, TNA. And that's, he was part of the TNA, renaissance. He was part of a movement that TNA kind of wanted to ultimately be. But, what we're going to get into later on in this show, my segment 4, we're going to talk about the downfall of TNA. But I feel like out of all the wrestlers there, I feel like Eric Young just cared more. I feel like he was really sincere with the company. He was absolutely heartbroken when the company couldn't make quota, when they were running out of ratings, when they got off Spike TV, and there was nobody out there to kind of pick up TNA. But Eric Young, as enthusiastic and as charismatic as he is, lifted up the locker room. He did something that a lot of wrestlers could not do. Let's get a locker room on his back, talk about the positives, dispute the negatives, and ultimately gather these superstars to try to build up a company that is not dead yet. So something that I absolutely admire from Eric Young was his ability to kind of go to TNA, go to NXT, kind of be part of the WWE thing. He was featured on the main roster once again. WWE created, absolutely destroyed the stable that I will Google because it's still bothering the hell out of me. But he went to TNA. He went back to TNA, went back to the thing he loved the most. And he's trying to revive it. He's trying to do his best, much like a lot of these superstars are trying to do. They do not, there could be that possible partnership with WWE, but you don't want to constantly be banking on like, oh, we're going to get saved financially because WWE is going to help us out. And I feel like that kind of hurts the company. It kind of really does hurt the company because as a wrestling, organization, you kind of need to have the backbone of your company basically on what the superstars have to produce every show. And TNA Impact, if you pay attention, if you actually watch Impact on Access TV, they put on good darn shows. They put on good matches. The champions are incredible. Absolutely. Mustafa Ali is absolutely incredible. Moose is absolutely incredible. Jordan Grace is absolutely incredible. That's why she's featured, and that's why WWE wants her. I feel like there's a lot of TNA superstars that WWE would love to get their hands on, but obviously, kind of crazy, kind of crazy. So yeah. Next we see Giselle Shaw defeat Shauna McKenzie. Giselle Shaw recently made she made her way back to TNA Impact, and she looked very impressive. She looked very impressive. Definitely going to be, probably the next one. I don't know if she's going to issue, she's going to answer that open challenge from Jordan Grace's TNA Knockouts World Championship match at Against All Odds. Should be pretty darn interesting. Next, we see Speedball Mountain defeat Mustafa Ali and Campaign Singh. Love that. Love that. I did not want to hear Speedball Mountain losing to Mustafa Ali, the X Division champion, and the, Campaign Singh. I love Speedball Mountain. I think, it would be so crazy if they go to WWE NXT and challenge Axiom and Nathan Frazier. That'd be insane. That'd be so freaking cool. Would absolutely love that. With Speedball Mountain, oh God, amazing. Simply amazing. Mike Bailey, my man. Trent Seven, my man. So, I'm not biased. I don't, just love Speedball Mountain of TNA. It's just Jordan Grace defeated her her challenger Allison Kay to retain the TNA Knockouts Championship. And I don't know. You saw Ash by Elegance come out, and kind of she could also be another person to kind of challenge for Jordan Grace's TNA Knockouts Championship. But the Juggernaut Jordan Grace made her way to the ring. No challenger could get in her path. Immediately, she absolutely, produced dividends, and she's going to challenge Roxanne Perez this Saturday. Yes, this Saturday? No, this Sunday at WWE NXT Battleground happening at the UFC Apex Center. So make sure you check into that. So yeah, honestly, pretty darn cool. And another, last thing we're gonna talk about AJ Francis. AJ Francis, he's way over with the crowd right now. He's way over. I see him on social media. I see a lot of people absolutely raving against this guy. AJ Francis defeated Laredo Kid to become the new TNA Digital Media Champion. So obviously, got to throw flowers for him. We had Nick Nemeth defeat Frankie Kazarian. Kind of saw that coming. I feel like we should build up. We should build up Nick Nemeth, especially with this potential partnership between TNA and WWE, because Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler was amazing in WWE. You just had, a couple of, you know, two-bit, writers trying to be like, oh, what are we gonna do? And with that, I feel like he was done wrong. I just feel like he was done wrong. The Broken Matt Hardy invites Moose to his Hardy compound, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome. Next week we have Danny Luna against Tasha Steeles to look forward to. Mike Santana against Zachary Wentz. Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth, the Nemeth brothers, against Ace Austin and Chris Bay. That's been kind of reeling lately. They've been kind of reeling lately in ABC. So I don't know. That's kind of crazy, kind of crazy. So we kind of moved a little, kind of further past this segment, and I apologize, but let's go ahead and wrap this up. So we're going to talk about our Ring of Honor results from June 6th. We had Queen Aminata defeat Maserati. Marina Shafir defeated Amira. Kyle Fletcher, once again, absolutely impressive. Defeated Dalton Castle to retain his Ring of Honor World Television Champion. The Infantry, Sean Dean, and Carly Bravo with Trish Adora defeated Jacoby Watts and Nick Camarado. Ring of Honor Women's World TV Champion Billy Starks, which I kind of knew this would happen, defeated Zamaya in a proving ground match. The Dark Order, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds with the negative one defeated the Iron Savages and Jack Jamison and Cole Carter, Griff Garrison, and Johnny TV with Taya Valkyria. So yeah, no, it was absolutely a Ring of Honor. Also, with its new partnership with AEW, is absolutely huge. You kind of see them having their Ring of Honor, kind of happen. I saw it happen after the Dynamite. So I don't know if that's what they're trying to do from now on, because for the longest time you did have Ring of Honor on Thursday, but now since they do not have to compete with AEW with this new partnership, this could possibly be a trend. You can see maybe New Japan Wrestling will have weekly shows featured after Rampage, after Collision or something like that on Saturday, Friday, or Wednesday possibly. But I don't know, Tony Khan right now, he's kind of gathering up all these wrestling promotions, and he's building up that library for Warner Brothers Discovery, obviously the streaming service that has picked up AEW. They're going to launch a streaming service in the future, and it's going to be absolutely huge. It's going to be absolutely perfect, and I think it's necessary for the improvement, the development, and also the future of AEW, not just for the company, not just for the stars, but for the audience. Something that wrestling has always kind of been great is we had WCW, we had WWA, WWF/WWE. So sometimes when you weren't getting your satisfaction on one show, you would jump onto another. All wrestling fans want. I guarantee you, I'm probably speaking on behalf of 85% of people here listening on this podcast or all around the freaking world. I feel like all wrestling fans really want to do is just for all these wrestling promotions to just stop competing with each other. Just get along. We're professional wrestling. We'll love all your wrestling shows. Put them on different days of the week. That's awesome. Imagine oh, I'm going to have a nice glass of wine and some Italian food on Thursday watching Impact and then Ring of Honor. Oh, but then I got to worry about watching WWE. No, you don't have to, because it's on Friday and Monday. NXT's on Tuesday. And then, obviously NWA Power is also on Tuesday as well, which I think they should probably perhaps, kind of move that, because I know WWE NXT is going to the CW as well in October. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what they do in terms of that. Maybe air NWA Power a little earlier, maybe like around 3 o'clock. That'd be pretty cool. Honestly, if I was, with Billy Corgan, I'd be like, hey, Smashing Pumpkins guy, we should, we go for it, right? I'm just kidding. Whoever's a Smashing Pumpkins fan, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey guys, do not go anywhere. We finished with our second segment, but our third segment, we're gonna have a little bit of fun, and we're gonna talk about my. So, which means it's gonna be absolutely subjective. This is gonna be absolutely biased. These are gonna be my top 10 finishers in wrestling. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We recently talked about our WWE Smackdown preview, and we talked about also my Thursday Night Wrestling review as well. The the World of Ring of Honor, and Impact Wrestling. Absolutely fire. Go ahead and check that out whenever you have the chance. So don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be too shy. But hey guys, before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. It should be pretty badass. Make sure you check that out. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Leave a positive review. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also, leave your comments, leave your concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. That's happening in the world of wrestling. Obviously, what I'm talking about as well. As a wrestling fandom, we're obviously kind of here together, 1,010%, all the way, all the way, all the way. So yeah, guys, don't be afraid to, tell me how you feel. Ultimately, this podcast is a hell of a lot better with a lot of fan interaction. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into this top 10 finishers. Let's see if this if this software is going to be nice to me today. So all right, first we have at number 10. I have the ankle lock. I know a lot of people would be like, dude, what do you like the ankle lock? And like, it's so boring. What do you like, Eric? Like, come on. It's a submission move. Yes, it's a submission move, but every single time a submission move is landed within wrestling, there's always that what if? What if he makes it to the bottom rope? What if he tries to find a way to reverse it? Or what if he taps out, or like Stone Cold Steve Austin did from the sharpshooter? What if he passes out from from pain and stuff like that? I refuse to tap out. But something that the ankle lock has done from like, obviously you saw the ankle lock prominent with Kurt Angle. You saw the ankle lock with Ken Shamrock. I know a lot of people might not know about Ken Shamrock. But then now you kind of have Chad Gable using it. You saw that WrestleMania 22 match between between Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels, where Shawn had the ankle lock on Kurt Angle. It was so cool. We're watching. I was like, I had my edge on my seat every single time. And this is something you cannot as a wrestling fan deny this. Every single time someone's locked in the ankle lock, you were paying attention because you didn't know where it was going to go. This is a lock that's been prominent with finishing wrestlers. That's been synonymous with a lot of glories that these wrestlers, these legends have cemented their legacies and stuff like that. Like I said before, Kurt Angle was one of the huge ones at doing that. So at number 10, I have the ankle lock. So at number nine, this might a little problematic, but I love the stomp. I love Seth Rollins' stomp. Absolutely think it's badass. I think it's perfect. I think there was a couple of instances in the past where, a lot of people did not know how to kind of sell the stomp. So a lot of neck injuries were kind of, brought to the horizon about this particular finisher. But I feel like Seth Rollins is, obviously he's kind of perfected it. And I'm not trying to seem a little, cocky for my boy Seth Rollins, but Seth is just an amazing competitor. Seth is one of the best WWE superstars, probably of all time. And this stomp, you don't see a lot of people using the stomp, especially in contemporary wrestling. I think it was a move that was actually banned. Don't quote me on that. Then in AEW you also have the swerve stomp. This move it's just cool. It's just cool. It can happen out of nowhere, which gets people excited. Kind of like other wrestling moves that you could possibly see. All right, at number 8, I have the jackhammer. The jackhammer from Goldberg. I kind of have this hate love relationship with Bill Goldberg. I think ultimately, he's a good superstar, but not really the best wrestler. Like his matches lasted like less. Maybe he should have been on WWE Speed, because he can hardly hold a match, longer than 3 minutes. But when he hit that jackhammer, you knew it was over, bro. You knew it was absolutely 110%. It was over. So, that's, also something to respect about that. All right, next we have the F5. The F5, not a lot of people kicked out of the F5. Obviously, in New Day Wrestling with Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, they kicked out of the F5. Like, what? Like, no one's ever kicked out of the F5. But Brock Lesnar, the way he did this move, it just every single time he hit it, and just this amazing physique of this physical specimen. A lot of people are like, oh, it's over. It's over. Brock Lesnar hit the F5. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Brock Lesnar. Boom, 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 boom. And then the match was over. Brock Lesnar once again wins. So honestly, love the F5. The moment he kind of puts it up, you kind of have this, and it's just that unpredictability, this balance that you kind of have within your wrestling mind that you're like, oh, it's over. wait, no, it's not. No, it's over. Like, just that balance and unpredictability that the F5 bestowed on us was, kind of cool. All right, and at number 6, I have the sharpshooter by Bret the Hitman Hart. Obviously, you've seen Natalia. You've also seen The Rock use it. You've seen, Owen Hart, and you've seen Sting use it, the Scorpion Deathlock. But ultimately, it was Bret Hart. Bret Hart, when he locked in the sharpshooter, you kind of knew it was over. Bret Hart really, honestly, did not have any other finishing move besides the submission. Obviously, Kurt Angle, his ankle lock, was kind of followed by an angle slam. So, I feel like the sharpshooter, when it was locked in, you kind of knew that it was over. That was definitely one of Brett's, foreshadowing and that, foretelling that, he locked it in, it's over. The people, the other competitor on the recipient of it, he probably getting hurt as hell, is like begging to get toward the bottom of the rope, trying to grab it, but it's just to no avail. Bret Hart has won an amazing amount of matches with this sharpshooter. So at number 6, I have the sharpshooter. At number 5, I have my attitude adjustment. Absolutely love. Before the adjustment, it was called something else that I wish I could say, but I'm not sure if I could say. But it was the attitude adjustment, the AA. He was able to slam people through tables. He was able to put people on his rope, go up to the top rope, like hit it from the top rope, and it was just that was Cena. That was John Cena. You knew it was over I keep wanting to call it the other name. I don't, um, the attitude of the AA. I'm gonna say the AA. Maybe the AA will help me, kind of remember a little more. But he was able to hit the AA out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Like there could be a huge, discrepancy within the match. He could be losing the match, getting beaten, torn, batted down, broken down, and then out of nowhere, bam, AA. Bam, AA. John Cena wins. Something that John Cena has done in his career that has been probably better than anybody else's was his ability to win. And he's, the 16-time world champion, obviously deserves a lot of flowers. John Cena definitely made WWE, put WWE back on the map during the ruthless aggression era. So, got to respect the attitude adjustments. All right, and number 4, I have the pedigree. The pedigree, no one ever really kicked out of the pedigree. This was Triple H's move. And if anybody kind of did this, you kind of looked at them, they're like, why are they doing the pedigree? Like, that's crazy. And of course, a couple of, honorable mentions. Since I'm on the topic of the pedigree, I want to talk about the spear. The spear, I was going to pick the spear, but the spear has been just adopted by everybody. You have Bobby Lashley spear, you have Roman Reigns, you have Edge, you have you have Jey Uso now, and they I like the spear, it's cool, but like so many people use it now, and it's not like one of those finishers where you're like, oh, that was his. But people do the spear all the time. So, and also another one with Sweet Chin Music. I wanted to put Sweet Chin Music on this list so freaking bad, but the super kick in WWE and in all the wrestling, circumference has normalized the super kick. So it's not so prominent. It's not so devastating. It's not like a deal breaker like it was back in the early 90s. Then you also have the Swanton Bomb from Jeff Hardy. You see, obviously you see Tiffany Stratton kind of do it. I think, don't quote me on this, I think even Sheamus did it at one point. But I don't know. I just, obviously you had the front flip onto the body from the top rope. So, had to hit that in there real quick. But like I said, the pedigree, it was adopted. Well, it was given to Seth Rollins from Triple H. That's why I'm like, Triple H is, kind of like Seth Rollins' his main guy. And, when they fought at WrestleMania 38, 37, it could be 37. I'm not too sure. Where like he busted the pedigree out on Triple H and he kicked out. I thought that was pretty cool. So, gotta respect the pedigree. No one's ever done the pedigree better than Triple H. And next, we have the frog splash. And a lot of people would be like, what are you talking about, Eric? You just got done saying that, oh, I don't want to include some of these, moves that a lot of people use all the time. It's like, dude, honestly, the frog splash was made special by Eddie Guerrero. You've seen it was adopted. You see, Sasha Banks do it, Seth Rollins, Dominic Mysterio, even Rhea Ripley go out there and kind of use the frog splash. So, you gotta respect the frog splash, man. All right, at number two, I have the RKO. It's, absolutely out of nowhere, entertaining as hell, super cool. I love it whenever he breaks it out. I don't think, the way he slithers up, the way he kind of, obviously wrestlers kind of do it now, like the Cody cutter, or like I think a couple other people have the cutter, like in AEW as well. But no one could do it like Randy Orton. Randy Orton, the way he kind of, it's the buildup. It's the buildup. He's like a snake. He's the apex predator, slithering toward his prey, ready to squeeze the heck out of him, cause them to lose, tap out, and be like, look, I am done. So, Randy Orton's RKO, number two on top 10 wrestlers. Number one, of course, you don't see anybody hit the tombstone better than The Undertaker. I saw, I think it was Nicholas or Matthew Jackson of AEW. That's the way they injured Tony Khan. And it was just trash. When you saw it happen, that's the moment. It wasn't the fact that the storyline was bad. It wasn't the fact that the execution of the move was bad. It's just that, dude, why do you have to incorporate the tombstone? That's The Undertaker's deal. Also, like his brother Kane. And nobody did it better than The Undertaker. But as soon as The Undertaker hit this, a lot of people knew it was over. Obviously you kind of had that combo, pin him down, tombstone, put his arms around his chest, and like he'd go on and be like, that was The Undertaker. That was The Undertaker's main move. Obviously loved the tombstone kind of growing up. It was, it was kind of cool to see. So, hey guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump into our fourth segment. We're rapidly running out of time, and that's totally my fault. Honey, I've had a lot of technical difficulties. So, we're going to move on to the downfall of TNA. And I swear to God, I'll get you ready for Emerald Soccer Podcast, at 9:30. I swear to God, I will not tap into that. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We're going to go ahead and move on pretty quick here. Rapidly running out of time. So I absolutely apologize, guys, once again for the technical difficulties. Of course, on a Friday. Of course, it has to happen on a Friday to last, kind of show that I get to see you guys, get to talk to you guys about stuff like that. But let's go ahead and talk about the downfall of TNA. So, guys, TNA had their 20th anniversary show on Thursday. So, kind of thinking about this was I felt like it should have probably been a bigger extravaganza than it actually was. It should have had legends returning to TNA, and yes, of course they had a lot, but also like I don't know, maybe like an appearance by like Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, or Sting would have been ideal, but it just wasn't as special because TNA has kind of fallen to the point where they're kind of unrecognizable. I know the TNA I kind of loved and like watched growing up and stuff like that back in the early 2000s. It's just kind of crazy to kind of see how that all kind of fell apart, and it sucks for TNA, but of course it is what it is. So let's kind of, let's go and move on. So I feel like the way TNA was so great was because it was well received by well received by wrestling fans, and also it kind of created a new breed of wrestlers. And I don't know. I think ultimately what caused TNA's, kind of imbalance, kind of caused them to, kind of destruct was their ability to be self-inflicted. And when I mean self-inflicted, I mean like trying to be WCW during the Monday Night Wars, trying to revive an NWO thing that just wasn't really the same. And I don't know. It just seems kind of crazy. Promotions, honestly, when they want to compete with WWE, WWE, I feel like it's kind of worse than trying to just put on a wrestling product that you do to entertain the fans ultimately. Because ultimately, what happened at TNA was that their issue with the audience, because it didn't I don't know, it was kind of crazy because the audience didn't really care too much. They didn't care too much about how they were competing with WWE. They wanted to see a whole different product, and they kind of fell into that. I feel like TNA kind of tried a little too hard. Also, they, like I said, they tried to recreate the NWO on countless. You have Planet Jarrett, the Main Event Mafia, and also Aces and Eights. They failed to build up the storylines within these factions that they wanted to be the next NWO, which was terrible. And they bailed on these storylines. They bailed on the storylines entirely throughout the promotion and without a resolution. Usually, you would just kind of see them fade away, and then you would have a new one just kind of brought up from nowhere, which was something that WWE wrestling fans love. Is just that we love a little bit of closure in terms of storylines, and you kind of have to have the build up. You can't really skip steps here. Can That's what TNA tried to do in it. And why do they have to keep the name TNA for the longest time? Obviously, they switched to Impact Wrestling now, but before then, why did they have to have TNA? Obviously, there's that kind of that dirty mind innuendo that TNA means, and so you would never ever see a sports network like ESPN, like Fox Sports or CBS Sports be like, oh, on TNA, this happened. Like, what I mean? They're not going to say that. That would just be like a huge target on their back, and it would just be absolutely weird and kind of rude. And also the TNA writing staff, it wasn't, like you had Hulk Hogan, you also have Eric Bischoff, and you had Vince Russo, so it was no surprise that these guys were trying to be WCW. And they also did not have a TV deal after their deal ended with Spike TV. Um, I feel like ultimately it was kind of all downhill from here. They tried to get a couple of other TV ads. They tried to get a bunch of TV, revenue that they thought would ultimately kind of push the show, but it didn't really happen. Um, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. And they also failed to acknowledge new markets. The strengths of TNA was them, staying the hell away from WWE. They had their, Impact Wrestling show on Thursday nights, which WWE didn't have Thursday until Thursday SmackDown on UPN when they first started. But WWE quickly moved SmackDown to Friday nights, so that's something that TNA definitely did really well. But ultimately, I feel like the demise of TNA was them trying to emulate their competition, which was bad, absolutely bad. They stopped being unique. They stopped being unique in the Knockouts division, and I feel like the X division suffered the most. WCW had a strong heavyweight division also with WWE, so they moved up their X division, main guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels. So no one really kind of filled in that spot for the X division. You kind of put your eggs in one basket of all these, kind of guys that were getting older, kind of guys that the fans already knew were main Carters. But as soon as they made it to the heavyweight division, it was like, all right, now who the hell are we going to have for the X Division Championship? And who's going to give these TNA knockouts more TV time where WWE back in the day didn't offer them, didn't offer their women's wrestlers a lot of TV time. So, definitely also, every wrestler from WWE got an immense push. It seemed like there was this common misconception that since WWE let go of some of these superstars and they went down to TNA, a lot of people thought that these guys should automatically just be better than these superstars from TNA. And that's not true. That's something that shouldn't be even in the mind of, TNA creative. But I feel like maybe they were trying to kind of, piggyback on the popularity of WWE, which, like I said before, was pretty bad. And finally, of course, when it comes to a wrestling promotion going down, it's money. It's money. Once Panda Energy kind of cut funds off, Panda Energy was, Dixie Carter, her father owned Panda Energy, and that, kind of, helped the product. But as soon as the product started going down with Dixie Carter trusting her company with Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, it just went all downhill from there. The money was gone. Dixie Carter got out whenever she could. Obviously, I think Billy Corgan, the owner of the NWA right now, went into business, but he ended up leaving. Couple of lawsuits later, then Jeff Jarrett took over. Couple of lawsuits later, so it just seemed like this product is was it seemed like it's kind of a little cursed, the TNA product. Obviously it was really good, but didn't really kind of live up to the hype. So guys, do not go anywhere. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes talk about your wrestling news roundup all around the world. I do this every single Friday. I want to leave you guys with some cool wrestling factoids to kind of talk about with people, and kind of ponder over the weekend. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about during the show. We had our WWE Smackdown preview, Eric's Thursday Night Wrestling review, where we talked about Ring of Honor, TNA Impact. And then we moved on to Eric's top 10 iconic WWE finishers. Then we recently talked about TNA, the downfall of that, what happened. And all, kind of a sad story, but, I love TNA. I loved it when it first, kind of got its legs. But now we're going to move on to our our final segment. We're going to talk about our wrestling news roundup. Rapidly running out of time. Like once again, I apologize for, kind of starting a little late, guys. It's a little hard. You kind of had some technical difficulties. I don't know why technology hates me. I'm not a generation. I think I qualifies, Generation X, or maybe I want to qualify as Generation X for the DX thing. But me and technology sometimes we fight. Sometimes it's not too it's not too easy. It's not that too easy. So all right, kind of moving on to our first news segment. We have Vince McMahon is not allowed in WWE headquarters. And after all the allegations, and stuff like that, like it seems kind of fitting. I wouldn't understand why TKO would kind of want to leave their name synonymous with the McMahon, especially after all that happened. And I've talked about this in a podcast before. Something that you got to love about Vince McMahon was his love for wrestling, his love for the WWF, the WWE moving forward. WrestleMania 1 was kind of a coin toss. He got all the greatest wrestlers from all over the world. He got some of pop culture icons. He also had Muhammad Ali be the referee for the main event. So, it's Vince. He does have a lot of bats. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to condone any action or any statement or whatever. I'm not here for that. But you got to kind of have to give flowers to when it's due. And without Vince McMahon, during his early years, I feel like WWE wouldn't really have become the giant it is right now. He kind of helped, he was the driving force behind, WWE during the Monday Night Wars and during the birth of the Attitude Era. So, obviously you kind of saw him go a little bit downhill. But honestly, I don't understand why you sold your TKO stock for billions of dollars, bro. Why don't you just call it a day? Why don't you just call it a day? Hang out with the grandkids. Just call it, like, if I had billions of dollars, I'd be like, dude, I am not stepping out of this house. Like, I'm gonna, lay on a hammock, have a six pack, some brews, and hang out that way. But Vince McMahon, I wouldn't understand why he would want to even go, try to go back to WWE at this point. But hey, I'm not in his mind. Next, we had Chad Gable. Chad Gable, WWE made a pretty generous offer to Chad Gable, but it's still kind of on the fence right now. Key people in AEW is pushing really hard for shush. I like that. I like that. If I see Chad Gable in AEW, I think he fits there really, really well. You've kind of had him fight in and out. I feel like to butter up Chad Gable, you could possibly have him beat Sami Zayn at Clash at the Castle for the Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, he's in the match right now. His contract expired today, I believe. Yeah, no, it expired today. So, there's going to be a lot of talks. Wouldn't surprise me if, throughout I don't even know if he's going to be featured on Monday Night Raw if he doesn't get this deal signed, which is kind of crazy. And also, I don't know if they're going to have promos tonight on WWE Smackdown with Chad Gable in it because they don't know. They don't know where he's going, where his head's at. Obviously, they're throwing the Intercontinental Championship, and they also give him a pretty generous contract offer. So yeah. Next, we have Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, like I've mentioned before in this podcast, his character is not being developed well enough, I believe. And the sources say, and I'm not trying to rub it in your face, I'm not trying to be like, I told you so, I told you so. Braun Breaker's creative plans in WWE are now changing. And that's no surprise. That's something that should have been done from the get-go, dude. Like you have this guy wanting to kind of propel his career in squash matches. Like, dude, what? This guy's an actual dude. This guy's a huge wrestler. This guy could be like Roman Reigns status. But a lot of people be like, "Oh, you can't be Roman Reigns status. You could be Bobby Lashley, though." Yeah, sure, they'll kick down Bobby Lashley, but they won't kick down, the pride and joy of WWE, the guy Roman Reigns. So honestly, love this for Braun Breaker. Definitely think he deserves a second chance on his kind of roster development. So eagerly to find out what happens on Monday Night Raw. All right, and number 4, we have WWE plans for Jey Uso revealed from WWE. So he recently, kind of inserted himself into the Money in the Bank ladder match. Make a lot of sense for Jey Uso to win this. He's done really, really well in tag team division title, success. He needs a singles, competitor. He needs a singles match. He needs a singles match. Be so cool, like I said before, if he defeats Cody Rhodes at potentially maybe like WrestleMania or something like that. That would be so cool. Oh my God. A lot of people kind of do have Finn Balor kind of speculated to cash in his Money in the Bank on Damian Priest because honestly, I feel like at this point you can't really make it really like any assumptions because of that rematch you have with Gunther and Randy Orton happening at Clash at the Castle. The winner gets the number 1 contendership and the King of the Ring crown, rightfully so. Randy Orton's left shoulder was not down during Gunther's pin to seal that victory at WWE King and Queen of the Ring in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So, it's going to be interesting to kind of see this moving forward. It's either it's either Jay or I feel like it's either Finn Balor at this point. And we have another new segment, Tony Khan. We have Warner Brothers Discovery's reactions toward recent AEW's ratings. I feel like AEW, Dynamite, and Collision are kind of diving a little bit, but I feel like after AEW's Double or Nothing, AEW Dynamite has been doing really, really well in terms of their, as their increase, in terms of their, just kind of their TV revenue and stuff like that. It might not be projected on the screen. You might see a little bit of like empty spots in the bleachers and stuff like that. But they're streaming partners. Of course, with HBO Max, they're going to do, they're going to do AEW series and stuff like that. But Warner Brothers Discovery is actually still impressed by AEW and still loves the way that AEW is handling Dynamite. So that's cool. That's cool. I like that for Tony Khan. I like that 1,010% for the wrestling world. HBO is now going to have an unlimited library in professional wrestling, AEW, Ring of Honor, and New Japan Professional Wrestling. So something that WWE should keep their eye on is you cannot let TNA at this point go to Tony Khan, which probably kind of force their hand to kind of go for a crossover kind of thing. And finally, our last story of tonight, and I will let you go. I know it's 9:15. I apologize. So Adam Copeland underwent tibia surgery where it was fractured. He's going to be out for a number of months. I project he probably will be back at All In. He's 50 years old, man. Love Adam Copeland. Love Edge. He's an animal. He's definitely an animal. Just looking at his picture right now, this guy's gonna, he's gonna do some crazy things. When he comes back, you can expect him to, definitely pay dividends in, any title picture. It'd be kind of crazy to see maybe him jump toward an AEW World Heavyweight title championship match. So, and that'd be absolutely pretty cool. But I would love that for, Adam Copeland. I keep wanting to say Adam Cole. I don't know. I do not know why. Probably because, Adam Cole, Adam Copeland, kind of the same stuff here. But yeah, sorry guys for going over once again. Apologize going for a little, kind of overtime here. Overtime. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Really does mean a lot to us. So remember that the GSMC Sports Podcasting Network does love peace, love, and positivity. Leave a positive review. We love positive reviews. And it really does make a difference, guys. We also, urge you guys and we invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok and Instagram for more content and updates. Like I always say at every show, if I'm a major wrestling fan by now, we have football with Manny and Kenneth. We also have the Andrew Tate Show. We also have Hoops and Heels with Samantha, your one-stop shop for women's sports, everything the Olympics, the WNBA, the women's MMA. We also have the basketball podcast with Nelson, absolutely killing it. We have Christopher on GSMC Fantasy Sports, and we also have Jeremy and TJ on GSMC Sports Network, where they talk about all sports, hockey, football, baseball. My man Sam also on baseball. So make sure you be a part of this GSMC Sports bloodline of, podcasting. And, we share the same, strive, and we share the same love that you guys have. Sports. So, it's absolutely free, 110% for free. You don't have to subscribe to nothing. Of course, subscribe to the channel, but it doesn't cost anything. We're not ESPN or Fox Sports, so don't be too shy to do it. Once again, thank you for tuning into my show. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Can't wait to see you guys on a beautiful Monday. So, hey, have an amazing night.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to